So just a quick rundown. My name is Ada. I'm a student from Vermont, USA. So I represent the U.S. National Committee at the UWC campus in Phuket, Thailand. Right now it is summer of 2022 and I'm going into my 12th grade year. So I graduate class of 2023. A little disclaimer, I actually was originally nominated to attend UWC ISAC Japan, but due to COVID, Japan kept their borders closed basically the entire year. I spent my first semester online from home in the US, just so the perspectives I have on UWC Thailand only come from the second semester of grade 11, but my perspective on the IB and on like UWC still is formulated from semester 1 and semester 2. The first key point that I think is important to just know going into UWC is that you're going to UWC and you're also going into doing the IB diploma. It depends what country you're coming from, but I was coming from the United States, having gone to public school in the US, and for me it was a really hard transition. In the very beginning of the year, things are like you're just getting oriented, so it's pretty like stable, and then I feel like a lot of people kind of hit this point where they kind of struggle with the academic side of things. Know ahead of time that the diploma program you're doing in conjunction with going to a UWC school is difficult, and it's known internationally for being difficult, so just understand there are going to be points that is really stressful, and like you will be stressed, but it's also all right because it's something that everybody goes through. Important to acknowledge that your classmates are from all different countries. You're also coming from a bunch of different countries that have different expectations on education. So there's going to be students from some countries where a lot of your like worth while you're in school is placed on your grades, and there's going to be students who are coming from countries and from schools that placed way more focus on like the arts or on language. So there's going to be some students and moments where you're like, oh, how the heck is this person so good at this subject while I'm here struggling? And I'm gonna have to take some moments where to remind yourself like that there are reasons that people are better at some things and that you are better at some things, and it's because you're from so many different places. So that's just kind of an effect of it, I think. Probably like the best piece of advice I can give in terms of UWC as a grade 11 would be this point. Just keep your mind open to who your social circle is going to be. But also in most cases, if you're an NC, you're going to a school where you're also living there full time. So you're living with your classmates and you're going to class with them every day. Important thing just to keep in mind is that when you arrive to campus, there's going to be people that you meet and they're going to be really nice, and it's going to be super exciting because you all want to be there. You've been waiting so long for this. That doesn't mean that the people that you get to meet first are the ones you have to stick with as a friend group. And that might seem a bit like extreme, but I don't take it that way. Just keep it in your mind of like, there's no pressure for you to find a group of people to call your friend group, in my opinion, and stick with that friend group. Really no judgment there either. If you find that there's some people that you just feel better around than others, then by all means, like, spend time with the people who make you feel happy. But don't set an expectation for yourself to find like your group, because you're gonna find there's actually so many people that you get along with and that you share interests with, and have an open mind to who you're gonna get to know. The next point is sleep. It's not really anybody's fault, but there's just this pressure, especially when you're living with grade 12s who do have a lot more work than grade 11s, and they often do end up staying up more. There's nights where it might work better to do that. You have an assignment due the next day, you just really have to get done, so you have to stay up and do it. And that's excusable. We're all gonna have like times where we have to do that, but especially like around the time when grade 12s will have their midterms, there's going to be an attitude around the campus of just staying up late and studying. And some people do have to do that, and everyone may have moments where they feel that they need to do that, but just allow yourself sleep. And especially in grade 11, it's possible to get enough sleep if you put your priorities straight. So come up with some sort of plan of like, okay, I'm going to go to bed by at least like midnight every night. And I know that that's late for some people, but just like set yourself some goals. For me, I had been staying up till like 1, 2, 3 in the morning doing work, and I was falling asleep in class and just low energy for the activities I had signed up for, and it was really not healthy for me. So I decided around like our time for us to prep for our like grade 11 exams that I was just going to sleep at 10:30 every night. Like no matter what, I would be in bed at 10:30, and I did that, and it helped my overall well-being so much. So please remember that it's possible to sleep, and in grade 11 especially, it's possible to get enough sleep, and you'll probably be struggling a bit more in grade 12. So take advantage of that and try and like set yourself some clear goals for your sleep, because it will help you with every other aspect of being at school. My next like point of discussion would be the fact that there's a lot of differences between you and your classmates at this school. So the reason I'd assume that a lot of people apply to UWC is because it's really fun and beneficial and interesting to be in class and like be living with people from countries all over the place. And there's a lot of benefits to that. You'll find it also presents some challenges, and it's helpful to eventually like realize that you may have to open your mind to the fact that some of the things you do and say are going to be like problematic. Like try and get comfortable with the fact that like you're going to be wrong in some situations, and because it's diverse, and there's really incredible things about that, but there's also struggles that come with living with people who are from so many different cultures and countries and have so many different opinions. So just, remember that it's not always going to be perfect in that sense, but that's also a learnable moment, and you can still grow from that. When you're an NC, there's this idea that you're like representing this country, and when a student wants to, it's important to allow them to represent their country, but also each student is not a spokesperson for the place that you're not responsible for the actions of your politicians. And when you have views on other people, you also must remember that your classmates are not representatives of their country or their politician. There was a couple situations at my school where there's a really big current event happening and a student is from that country, and it can be like a teachable moment in class and just in discussions to ask these students like, well, what do you think about this? And while that can provide some insight, you don't always know if that student is comfortable talking about that. And you also just have to remember that if you're frustrated about a current event that's happening in a different country, it's not the fault of the classmate you have. Remember to see people as their nationality when they want you to, but also see them as an individual separate from their country's actions and the politicians in their country's actions. It's very relative, so just keep your mind open when people talk about issues in relation to where they're from. Last point would be to ask for help when you need it. This can be from your boarding house parents, it could be from like your homeroom teacher if you have that, and especially from your grade 12s. So most people, you can find a grade 12 who's done the course and often with the teacher that you're doing. And just utilize that, because it's also very helpful to study through teaching someone else. So if you have a global politics question or a global politics topic that's just straight up not making sense to you, don't hesitate to reach out to one of your grade 12s and just say like, hey, I don't know if you have time, but I am confused on this topic and I would really love to go over it at some point if you have time. And I think a lot of grade 12s, at least for me, were really willing to do that because it was also good studying for them. So yeah, just don't be afraid to do that. It's helpful. We went through the struggle that you are going to be going through, and we also went through the happinesses and like the exciting moments and like the formative moments that grade 11 has to offer. So don't be afraid to interact with us and ask questions when you have them, because the chances are we had the same exact questions at one point. We're here to support you. So above all, just remember that UWC is such an amazing opportunity that very few people get. Just utilize these 2 years the best that you can. Utilize grade 11, even the hard parts, there's going to be things you enjoy. So just take advantage of that and enjoy it. For watching, and to my first years who might be watching this, I look forward to meeting you soon. And to anyone else who's about to start their grade 11 at UWC, I wish you the best of luck and have a good rest of your summer or a good flight over it if you're about to go.